Shawbreak Sounds.
Welcome to Over the Falls podcast, episode number 56. Today, the original trio, Dave, Med and Dukes, dive into the art of conversation, chivalry, and what it means to be a gentleman in 2025. We also touch on hate crimes, music, crime stories, and a few classic tangents. This week's episode is sponsored by Fit Fuel Aberystwyth. In today's fast-paced world, maintaining mental health begins with proper self-care. At Fit Fuel Aberystwyth, they simplify this by offering the community healthy, protein-rich meals that are both quick and convenient. Their meal prep packages come in options of 5 or 10 meals, which can be collected, reheated, or frozen to suit your schedule. For a casual dining experience, they operate within Bar 46 at 46 Bridge Street, Aberystwyth. Their casual dining menu includes dishes such as steak and eggs, sea bass, omelettes, and pizza wraps. They take pride in sourcing all their meats from Rob Rattray Butchers, ensuring they cook the cleanest, healthiest ingredients, free from undesirable additives. Additionally, their menu is available on Just Eat, allowing you to have your nutritious meals delivered directly to your home or workplace. Check them out on the socials, Fit Fuel Aberystwyth, or check out their website, www.fitfuelaberystwyth.co.uk.
I knew that this date was coming, so I've been sort of keeping things in mind to talk about that I've thought about or an experience. So the first one was I went on the train. I had a really long weekend. Basically, I went to Bristol, then I went to Millwall football, and then I came back on the train on Sunday. So I had loads of time on the train, and I want to question you guys about the train. So, do you think that human beings are becoming an unsociable species?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think it's certainly down to phones.
Oh, dude. So,
mate, social media.
I was the person sat there. I didn't want to speak to anyone. Mm-hmm. I was on the train. I downloaded 2 films ready.
Yeah.
I had my game on my phone. I'm watching House or whatever I was watching. And I was like, I don't want to speak to anyone.
Yeah.
Trains were so busy. It was silent.
No one was talking.
No one was talking.
Oh, you mean it was busy, but quiet?
They were packed to the rafters. Groups of people were talking because they knew each other.
Yeah.
But there was no one I was sat next to someone.
Nobody talking.
No conversation.
We are definitely, as a species, losing the art of conversation, without a doubt. And within conversation, we are definitely losing the art of listening as well, which is really important. Because I read a really good book recently by Nihal Arthanayake, I think his name is, I can't pronounce it properly. But the art of listening is incredible for conversations. Because you know when you're in a conversation with somebody and you can see they're just standing there waiting to get their point across. That's not a conversation.
No.
That's just one way and you're just just listening to what they're trying to get across. But phones are a major problem with conversations. Because another stat in that book, right? Say, for example, now we're talking here. And one of us gets a notification or a text message or a phone call on our phone. On average, it takes 20 to 25 minutes to get your brain back to where you were pre-notification, pre-phone call, pre-text message. So we are so distracted as well. That is the problem.
It pulls you out of
everything, mate. Because when it happens a lot. It happened to me on the weekend. I was talking to somebody and they got a text message. They started looking through their phone. Oh yeah. No one's listening.
No.
So to answer your question, we're losing it.
If that happens, say if it's really important, right? And I would just be look, I'm really sorry, but this is important and I need to do it. But I'll try and voice what I'm saying instead of just going, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta acknowledge the person because it is rude.
It is rude. That's the thing.
I think people give it 5 years, might not even be rude anymore. We might be like dinosaurs and old school and say, things like that are rude. But the way things are going, it's worrying. I'll tell you what.
Social skills. Well, people's social skills are just rock bottom
diminishing.
Now. Gone. Well, not gone, but you know what I mean. It's, say for example now, working from home. I remember it when I was producing music a lot and I was sort of sitting on my own, headphones on, in your own head for days on end. I went to the shop once. It was when we were living in Swansea.
Yeah.
Mate, I started stuttering a bit. I don't have a stutter.
Yeah.
Just getting something from behind the counter. It's probably tobacco or something. And I was like, fucking hell, I've got to start talking to people here. So like the working from home thing's not helping either, I don't think.
No.
At all, personally.
Because the workplace is a social outlet.
Absolutely.
Because you're in work 90% of your life, pretty much, and you.
Yeah. And I
Some
think
people aren't, but-
your job is good for that because you've got like a site thing, and
Just
so have you.
can't Not
Yeah,
go in.
I
Yeah, same as
literally
Ned.
get put in a gang
Incredible.
every day.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing.
Technically, maintenance, kind of like I am, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know you maintain something different, but I maintain like
it's
the
just a
hospital
gang
building,
of, gang
and you're
of
maintaining
guys
the track.
going out together all day, digging, shoveling, lifting, driving all day.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
Isn't it? And I miss that. I don't miss the stress of being on a building site when I was managing. I do not miss that stress at all.
Yeah.
But I do miss that camaraderie. Bants, allowed to say that?
Yeah, banter.
Good laugh.
Are you? I'm
Good fun.
joking.
Yeah. 2025, 2026. Yeah, so I think that's really, really important. And I think it's so easy as well, if you're on a train like you were, to get your phone out and get your headphones in.
Well,
and you don't have to talk to anybody.
I looked forward to it. I
Yeah.
looked forward to having that journey just in calm. I could look out the window, listen to my music, watch whatever I was watching. Like, I really enjoy that. And I don't feel like I want to speak to anyone.
What
but
I
that's
do
fine,
understand about that, though, is
That's
I
Because it's
fine.
think
sort of like
you're,
needless conversation.
you're recharging your social battery after a long social thing, I'm guessing, like with the football, and you said you went on the train, you went to different places, so
Well,
like people's family,
on the
football
Sunday,
games.
on the Sunday, I was very hungover, and I didn't want to speak to anyone because I might be like, blah, blah, blah.
I can understand that. I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that. We want to sort of get your head into
wanna
just
get
like
home.
switch off and
Just
just go
wanna get
home.
home.
You're tired, you're fed up. But
Yeah.
for me, I do like talking to people.
I do too.
I kind of push myself to talk to people. I do it outside the school gates. Like I end up just talking to lots of different people. Maybe because I don't speak to enough people during the day in my work, potentially. So I like
yeah,
that.
true.
Don't get me wrong. If, say, the person next to me struck a conversation with me,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, shut up. You know,
Oh, no.
I'm not going to, I'll have a chat. But I wasn't looking for the chat. I wasn't like,
At that time or like
just on the
always?
train, I was just like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to ask that person why their hair's yellow, you know, or whatever. I'm not, I was just like, no.
Head down.
I
Head
must
down,
admit,
let's
some
go.
days, sometimes I'm more up for it than other days. So I must admit,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
I'll go to the school gates, probably not overly in the mood for a conversation, but not in like a really negative way. And then maybe I would talk to people if they approach me, not the other way around. I think it depends on your social battery that day, isn't it? Some days you might be going in and thinking, oh, I shouldn't like get this pickup done. I've got to go to swimming. I've got to do X, Y, and Z. Go. But then other times, I don't know, you're maybe in a slightly better mood and you're up for a chat, aren't you?
Yeah.
Chat to a few of the parents, see how the kids are doing.
You just said a term there, social battery.
Yeah.
That term blindsided me in the last 10 years. Like, I didn't realize that was a thing.
It is a thing, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
need it
Yeah.
some days. I feel
full on.
drained. I feel done
I'm
of like
really
conversing with
happy.
people.
I'm really happy that it's a thing because I've been sometimes quite anxious and impatient and sort of like, I don't know, you feel like this little het up feeling, and I was just like, I couldn't put my finger on what it was, and it's like I've been around people too much today, and I'm just had enough.
Yeah.
And then I think Rachel or someone penned it. They were like, "Oh, your social battery's gone." I was like, that is amazing.
She's got
You
no
know what,
patience.
though?
I get that with because I went on holiday like 2 weeks ago, whatever it was now, for 12 nights, and I was quite drained. Obviously, I love my kids to pieces, but then you do need just 10 minutes to yourself sometimes,
time,
just
yeah,
to recharge,
definitely.
isn't it? It's a recharge. That's all it is.
Recharge the battery.
Yeah.
No, you definitely did. But the thing, even that phrase though, and we're saying it like a social battery. Even like the phrase of the battery is to do with this new modern world of like the phones, etc.
Yeah.
You'd never call it a social battery 20 years ago.
Nope.
You would say you just need a bit of
Level.
your own time, a bit of me time or something.
Me
But
time.
even that terminology is kind of linked to our modern life of these phones and stuff. You know,
I blame the Matrix
maybe we're plugged in
because
Um,
we were literally batteries for the machines.
You know what? Before I forget, I think I might have said it off air with Eddie Underwood, but I'll say it now. There's this function on my phone, right, that I started only doing it in the nighttime, and on an Apple, and it's different on Android. I imagine you slide down and you hit a moon, right, and it's do not disturb. But the great thing about this button is when I'm on call, it will still register a recognized call, so I don't have to worry about not getting a phone call. However, social media, messages, WhatsApp, everything bar a call from a recognized number, it's like a blackout, and it's like my favorite button. So say me and Nicola are watching a program in the night time, you really want to like switch off. Maybe your phone's been like vibrating a couple of times. I almost get stressed sometimes, when I hear it like vibrate, because it's like constant, isn't it?
Oh, constant.
And I hit that moon, and honestly, I feel like a weight's lifted off my shoulders, and I think like that is amazing. And then if someone really wants to contact me, like it's something to do with the children, or it's my mum or my sister, they can ring me.
Yeah.
And it's so freeing. It's the best button on my phone.
Does that
really good.
mean that when you unmoon it, like you put the sun on again?
Oh yeah, then
everything goes whoosh.
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't like vibrate or beep. But if you looked at, say, WhatsApp,
So they
it'll
still
quite often say like 47 messages.
they still
or
come
whatever.
in.
They
but
do come
you
in.
don't get notified that they come in.
If I picked my phone up and went to WhatsApp, it would still show the messages, but you don't get any of the notifications,
You
or
don't
the
get the pings, the
audible, or
vibrations.
the vibrations,
Oh, yeah.
or the stuff that sometimes makes me a bit stressed. I don't know why it does. It just does. So just turning that off is bliss.
yeah.
That's good as well, because it's
so
like
good.
it stops the distraction. Because you know what it's like. You're watching something, you're 10 minutes into a film, you're like, oh, I'm enjoying this. Your phone goes off. You're gone.
Like what you said
gone.
with the 20 minutes.
Gone.
You're not going to get that 20-minute sort of distraction. And then I've been on a holiday recently as well, and me and Dave spoke a little bit about this off it. We're reading a little bit more, right? And I don't think there's any coincidence in it. I think it's our kids are getting to a certain age where we're getting a little bit more time. So like I'll hit that moon button on my phone and I'll read, and it is just bliss.
I've
It's like
done
going
it.
back in time.
I've done it to get off my phone. I have.
It's so
I've
good.
dropped my hourly phone usage down by a good few hours now.
Good.
And
So
what,
that
was,
time-
what was it before? Like, because we've
Four-ish.
talked about it before. 4 hours.
4-ish. Yeah, I'm down to under 2 now.
That's really good.
It
Mine's
is
on like
good.
4-ish.
And we
Yeah,
we
it's
chat?
really good.
Didn't we chat? And did someone talk to you about it? And they had like 7 to 8 hours. Or
No, no,
something?
no.
It was a
more?
student. It was more. It was a student we met up the student union
Yeah.
for like a mental
That's
health
it.
day, and I think she had 12 hours. Is that correct?
No. It's 14 and a half hours. For one day, the day before, because she didn't realise
Oh my God.
that you could go on your
I forgot
settings and
that
see
bad.
what your daily phone usage is. And she's like, oh, I didn't realise you could do that. She's going through here and she looks at it and goes, oh my God, I was on for 14 and a half hours yesterday. I was like, what the hell were you doing for 14 and a half hours?
She was half trying to justify. So I'm not like knocking it like at all. I'm not trying to like shame her about it. Right? Maybe a little bit, but I'm not. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, but I did go on it for this and that." And I was thinking, like, I don't even know if I was awake for 14 and a half hours.
I think shaming is the wrong word, but that's definitely
yeah. I'm not trying to shame anybody.
Was it? It's not for her job. No, she's
No.
a student.
They're student.
No,
She's
she was
just,
she was a volunteer with St. John's Ambulance, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And she was,
They must have a hell of a WhatsApp group. Telling you.
to be fair, she wasn't on duty. I'm not like throwing her
No,
under the
no,
bus
no,
here or
no.
anything like that.
No, she wasn't.
She was doing like uni
called in
work
sick.
and probably 7 hours on TikTok and stuff. I don't know.
It might be. It might be. I don't
I mean,
know.
those numbers are like astronomical.
But I've forgotten how good reading was. I've got right into it this year.
Yes,
now.
I
I've
wanted to
read
read
5 books.
read them. So good.
5 books so far this year I've read, and that might not seem like a lot to some people, but that's a lot for me.
How many did you read last year?
None. I haven't read anything for 10 years probably.
This is what I
Genuinely.
mean.
Genuinely.
So good.
So do you think there's a
reading.
difference? I mean, obviously a physical difference. Do you think there's a mental difference in reading
Yeah.
and listening to an
I
audio book?
personally do, because me and Dave had a brief conversation there. I think my listening's better. I think my vocab's better. Vocab's quite a big one, I think. Sometimes I still can't find the words, but I think that's literally just kids and I'm tired. So sometimes I can't find that bingo word that I'm looking for. But I think it like engages your brain. Like an example, I think you can listen to an audiobook or a radio or a podcast, and you can sort of half be in, half out, and you can be doing stuff. When I'm reading a book, most of the time anyway, I'm like laser focused, putting all my energy into this book, and I can smell it, I can taste it, it's amazing.
So
isn't
good.
it?
Yeah, because Enzo was telling me a little while ago, because I was telling him I don't read, I listen to loads of podcasts and kind of audiobooks, but it's more like stories and crime and stuff. He's like, oh no, you need to, reading's different. It's like, oh no, it's not. But yeah, like Dukes is saying, you are there. With an audiobook and a podcast, it sort of like settles me and I'm kind of engaged. I am definitely engaged, I'm kind of there. But with a book, it's different. It's your imagination is going crazy.
Yeah.
And you are laser focused, as Duke said as well. You are just absorbed by it. It's so good.
I've got plenty of time. I just
Give it a go, man.
I'll give you a
honestly.
book, right?
if
I'll
I
give you an
read,
easy,
if I start
easy read.
reading, I just fall asleep.
Yeah, well, I was like that.
During the day?
Genuinely, I was like that.
No, still.
Oh, you
But
mean not even if it's night?
Today, if I went to the beach like I did and I whipped out a book, I'd have been asleep in 5 minutes.
Mate, I think you've got to train your brain though, because I was genuinely like that for ages, and that's why it used to put me off. I'd read one page before bed, won't remember it the next day, go back to the same page the next night, and have to do the same thing. Like, oh, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
That's
and,
where I'm at. I
was
reckon that's where I'm at.
talking to a guy recently, Dan Eat PT. This guy I met, he reads a lot, and all he says was, just read 10 pages a day. That's it. That's doable.
Like a chapter, maybe.
It's doable.
You know
10
what, though?
pages.
That isn't going to happen, though, because like what
Not
people
with
say
Stephen
to
King.
sell a book, they say this is a real like page
Turn
turner.
pager, yeah.
And it's quite a cliche. However, if you're like, there was this one chapter in The Body that I was reading, which is Stand By Me, essentially. Well, that is Stand By Me, but the Stephen King novel. And it was like the part, if you've seen the movie or read the book, where they're crossing a railway track, and they can either go round, which is going to take them like a few hours,
£1,000 fine, those.
or they can go across. Yes, Mr. Rail, I forgot about that actually. Yeah,
It's fiction. It's fiction.
That's true. And they were going across, and I think it was Gordy. It was, and he just felt
Gordo.
he felt like the vibrations in the rail.
Oh, yeah.
And he had two people ahead of him and one person behind him, and just. I can't even describe it. It's just so amazing how he describes the emotions, what he's saying to his other 12-year-old mates.
Yeah.
Like how hot it is on the day, the reflection in a kid's glasses. Every last detail is in there, and it's incredible. I'm like underselling it. It's so good.
The thing is about you, the way you pictured that, I might picture it completely different. And
Yes.
you might picture it completely different as well.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good.
Exactly, because in a film, you can't really... There might be an open ending, and you think, oh, I think this happens in the ending, or I think this happens in the ending. But you're totally right. You might read that book and just picture some of the characters slightly differently.
Definitely.
But that's amazing, though.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's
selling it.
Me and Rach came up with this thing yesterday. It's slightly different, but I guess it translates to imagination as well. Like, there's no end to talent. There's no end to imagination. There's no end to it, is there?
No,
As long as
creativity.
anything with an imagination or a sentient brain, it's never ever going to end. And things will
Unlimited
keep-
amount of stories. Is in like you are going to get similar ones. A little bit like music,
Well, and music.
I suppose. There's only a certain amount of chords and a certain amount of things, but you're right. Stories and
Oh,
art.
so do you think music is like
Yes.
finite?
So there's
The notes are the notes without question.
Definitely.
Are. I watched a really
But the
good.
combinations is the combinations of the notes. Is
But that's why they're
I
getting
think Ed
redone.
Sheeran was talking about it, and
Sheeran's
he
getting done.
spoke about it, didn't he? Talking
Yeah.
about how people are getting like sued. But his like rebuttal to it was, well, the problem is about it. There's only a certain amount of these like particularly pop catchy chords.
Yeah.
And he was trying to explain it like saying it's quite difficult to write a song and you not be able to go through a back catalogue of millions and millions and millions of albums and not pick something out saying that's quite similar. I think that was his
been to
sort
court
of
a couple of
half
times, hasn't he?
defense. Yeah, he has. He's been sued by... I can't remember who sued him now. Sued twice or three times.
Oh, God, it's
I
an
think.
old song as well.
You know what happens
Yeah,
a lot
can't
in the music
remember.
industry though, doesn't it?
Oh, no. That was the Blurred Line song. Do you remember that one? With
Yeah.
the models in the video, you might remember that. And the
What's the name of that guy
Pharrell.
who looks really young? Pharrell. That's
Pharrell.
it. Yeah.
And there's another guy. Anyway, yeah,
Yes.
they got done because it sounds like an old sort of disco, like a cool track from like the 80s.
I've seen.
But when you
some
put two and two
videos-
together, you're like, ooh.
You know what
I've
though?
seen some videos of like
Some of,
comparisons.
some of them are bad though. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember Vanilla Ice?
Yeah.
Ice Ice Baby.
Well, he took that
That is
from
a
Queen.
total rip off of Queen.
Yeah.
Like Under Pressure, it was Freddie Mercury and David Bowie. Under Pressure. That's what it was.
Yeah, but wait.
And it was the same
That's
track.
it.
It was the same track.
To play devil's advocate here, he uses the riff, right?
Yes. Dung,
Only.
dung, 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 dung.
But it's
Yes.
the same though.
It's-
It is
no, it's-
that.
it's the sample.
Yes, but it's the sample of that riff. But he's then gone, I'm going to put that in my art form.
Yeah,
You
but
should have
it's
asked
like-
though, and maybe
it's
I
like-
don't know how
yeah,
it
but
works.
so-
Pay or something.
Look at that lovely picture that Matt Hunt did there.
Yeah.
What kind of art would you call that?
It's quite dark, gothic maybe, a gothic art maybe.
Okay.
Go on and see it on the
you
screen,
could
shall
put you could put 10, 20 different artists up there that would do Gothic painting, and you'll find similarities, and you'll definitely find skulls.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Can't copyright a skull.
Yeah, but I guess but to copyright a skull or notes that
no,
someone
but for
wrote
me,
is
for me, it doesn't matter. Like that, Vanilla Ice took that riff
I've got one.
You know?
I got a. So let's say, for
because
example,
it's a
now
different song.
you came up with that riff, and you made no money from it. Your song didn't go anywhere. Hang on.
Yeah.
Didn't go anywhere. And then
Yeah.
someone like Vanilla Ice comes along, robs that little riff, samples it, puts it in his track, and makes I don't know, 10 mil off
I
it,
can't comment.
how would you feel?
I can't comment on that. I don't know. You add money into the mix, people go loco, you know?
Well, that's
I don't
what they
know.
did.
I don't know.
Or
Yeah.
I guess it's similar to, you imagine now Rach has done like a beautiful piece of art, right? Someone sees it, they trace it, and they basically do the same thing, and they call it themselves. They don't give any credit to her at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is my art and expression. Surely that's annoying, right? You can't have that. Like that's literally like plagiarism in terms of literacy wise. But
I understand. Yeah, I can. That's an annoying example. Definitely.
I'm just trying to do an example. But
go back to the Vanilla Ice thing. He just used the riff.
he did.
He doesn't say under pressure once, probably in the entire song.
No. I think it's different lyrics.
He hasn't got David Bowie on it,
No.
and he's going.
I'm wondering.
Ice baby.
I'm wondering.
It's a tune. I'm not saying it's
I love
not
that
a
song.
tune.
I'm wondering if it's like the length of the sample, how long it is. So if it's ding 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 ding, say it's like 2 seconds.
Vanilla.
Are you
Ice
allowed
Ice
2
baby.
seconds of someone else's song? Do you reckon there's like a margin? You can't have 5 seconds, but you can't have 3 seconds, but you can allow to nick 2 seconds.
number of
Did he get-
notes, maybe.
That's what I mean.
Did
I
he
don't
get
know.
sued?
I think he
Here-
did. I think he paid.
Here's what I think. He may not have made any money from it because that sample was someone else's.
I know people ask for permission,
I
and
mean-
then people grant permission.
I
but
got a fact. I got a music fact about
people
samples.
do that.
Oh, I love
Hit
it.
me with a fact.
Ruda Silva, Touch Me. Do you remember that song?
Yes.
Touch me in the morning.
And last
what?
thing,
Beautiful
yeah,
song.
right.
So it got released, went massive. They had to recall it, like because it was obviously CDs and vinyl and everything, because he'd used a sample that wasn't allowed,
Whoa.
and then re-released it without that sample.
No way. So
Yeah.
you can hear 2 versions of that song.
There's
If you
2
dig,
versions of
if
that.
you dig, like.
Yeah,
I've probably only heard the second more popular one. I
I
don't
have
even
no
know if
idea.
I've even heard the original.
You've probably
one.
heard the original,
Ah, right, okay.
and it might not be anything you might not even notice.
No,
But
just
someone
as a-
went,
thing in it.
"Hang on, I made that."
Wow.
And because it went massive, he thought, "No chance, pal."
Wow.
I'm taking it
It
back.
does come down to like a lot of it is like the financial stuff, isn't it?
course it is.
You're like, hang on, you're not making money off my art form. I think that's kind of what it boils down to, isn't it?
I'd be annoyed.
Really? Yeah, I think it kind
would
of
be.
boils down to that, or stealing someone's like idea.
Well, that was a tangent.
That was
was
a
good.
good tangent there.
Any other subjects, Med, that we had to? What
I
was it?
absolutely love music. Right, so this came up. So I think I've chatted with Rach about this over the last 4 or 5 days, and it's really interesting. But like, how important is the past? No,
Open
let
question.
Me, yeah,
Very
let me
deep
be.
and
Yeah, let me be a
open
bit more
question.
specific.
Yeah,
So
deep and open.
history, the lessons learned from war, the lessons learned from this, that, the other, very important. We can't ever turn our backs on that, right?
No.
But like, I guess things like older ways of thinking,
Okay.
some medieval ways of thinking, possibly, or even before that ways of thinking. Because we chatted about cavemen and how like the two genders fit into that sort of role.
We're
and
talking
then,
about the
is that
chivalry
still-
route here and stuff.
Yeah. So that was the last part of this.
Okay.
Because I looked at the definition of chivalry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the Oxford Cambridge Dictionary, no less,
Go on. Then.
says chivalry means it's a noun and it's very polite, honest, and kind behaviour,
Yeah.
especially by men towards women.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say like only by men towards women.
Yeah, not exclusively.
So me and Rach have been chatting about like what is chivalry in 2025, and is it the same as that sort of medieval knight in shining armor kind of thing?
Well, times have definitely changed.
What is
haven't they?
chivalry, basically?
I'm gonna say I think it's similar, but I can't like ignore the time frame that's happened. So I also quickly looked it up, right? And the word cheval, do you know what cheval is?
No.
Horse.
It's horse in French,
Okay.
right? So that word is tied back to the knights,
Yeah.
and how they treated fair maidens.
Yeah.
Let's say back then, and apparently they treated them honestly, and then nicely, and that's what chivalry apparently meant in medieval times. So it was mainly like a knight to a woman or a male to a female.
Okay. But that's not negative in any way.
I don't think so. But
No.
what is the deep? You're on about the time frame. Is that correct?
Are you talking about how it sort of
So-
evolved to like modern day?
What
yeah?
is it in 2025, basically?
Well, I think chivalry 2025 is, I guess, opening car doors. I mean, like, for example, I'll give you some examples of myself recently, helping my wife with bringing the shopping in because the bags are heavy.
Sure.
Walking to school the other day, one of the parents, I could see she was carrying a really heavy box. I said, "Can I help you with that?" "Yes, no problem." Took it in for her. Being a gent, being courteous, being polite, being gentleman.
You've just described the Oxford Cambridge.
Well, it's just being a gentleman
version. Yeah.
And I think that
being kind, polite, and honest.
For me, has come from my dad, and that's come from his dad. I can't say about my great grandfather because I never met him, but I've learned from them.
Yeah.
To have those morals, and my wife appreciates that because I remember really early on, I'm not going to blow smoke up my ass here, but I remember her telling Mum that I treat her really well and I'm like a gentleman to her, where I open the door for her, I pay for meals, I look after her, I want to look after her and I want to protect her. That's kind of my role, and she likes that.
Yeah,
she's happy with that. So that's what I think we are in 2025 from my experience with Chivalry. Whether that's wrong, I don't know. I haven't had any comebacks yet.
Cool. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Rach was saying that the most chivalrous thing in terms of the man for the woman, that classic term that I do for her is like, I'll cycle behind her on a road.
Perfect example.
But I didn't even think I was doing it out of anything other than just, I will be the person that I get hit first, sort of thing.
Protect her
on the
yeah,
pavement.
but I didn't think about that.
But is that wrong?
No, I'm not saying it's wrong. I was just saying like that's like.
That is a good example.
It was mind
Really
blowing
good.
for me that like she recognised that as something that I did out of my own like sort of being a man.
And I do that
And I was
with
like,
my wife and kids.
Yeah.
I will say if we're walking on the pavement,
Yeah. You
I
do
am
the
on the
roadside.
roadside.
Yeah, exactly.
I tuck them in.
Yeah.
Just
Come on.
it's just the way I am.
Yeah.
And the way I think it should be, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so first date,
Yeah.
meet a girl. Will you go out with me? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go out on the first date. Who pays?
The man.
Me every time.
The man.
Every time. It's a gentleman
It's
thing
what
to do.
my dad did.
Yeah.
So is that
I
chivalry?
pay for every date, even to this day. Nicola doesn't pay for dates. Never has done.
No, same.
And
That's really interesting. So I think me
I'm
and
not
Rach
saying it's
split
bad
it down
not,
the middle
not
every time.
to do that though. I'm not saying like, oh, I do this and everything else is rubbish. I guess I'm just trying to explain, and I'm sure Dave is as well, and you are, just the way that it's set up in your particular little couple, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like what Dave said, you learnt it from like, I guess the men in your life, isn't it? So the dads, the granddads, but yeah, loads of things like opening the door, always walking on the roadside. Those little things that, like you said, you don't really think about too deeply. But I personally think they're like a really positive trait, nothing to be viewed at negatively in 2025.
No.
Personally, some people might think it's like weirdly sexist or something. I don't. I just think it's like a man trying to look after a woman, and as long as the woman is happy to be maybe looked after a little bit or whatever you want to call that, then it's okay, isn't it? It's different if she doesn't want that and she's like, no, I want this. That's very different. But Nick's very happy in being in a what I'd call like a traditional gender role. I think we're like, I don't think we're old school at all, but I'd say we've got our like gender roles maybe traditional. I'll use the word traditional.
Yeah.
I'd say that's what me and Nicola are geared up as, and it just works for us. Might not work for any other couples out there. I don't know. You learn a lot on maths, let me tell you. If anyone out there has seen maths.
Married at First Sight, Australia. Don't ruin it. I'm like 32 episodes in now.
I've watched the last, was it 3 or 4 seasons of only Australia, because the British one does my head in. It's just wild.
Yeah, I love the Aussie one.
The Aussie one's wild, but it's the longest one, isn't it? It's the longest standing one, and I think it's like well established to be a real experiment.
Oh no, it is. And I don't want to go off in too much of a tangent about maths, but I just wanted to mention it. But yeah.
So, what do you think Chivalry is in 2025?
I think that so the past way that we talk about the knights, the horses, etc., etc. That's a beautiful thing. I think it's probably a bit fairy tale-y.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Because I I don't think that every man in medieval France treated fair maidens
You know what?
nicely,
You're probably right.
and probably the world over.
But I guess they
you
still
know.
needed a word for the people who did treat them well.
Yeah.
And that word
Sure.
apparently was chivalry.
I think chivalry is it's so let's go back in time, and I think that the man was being more what you'd consider chivalrous. But I think that as time's going on, I think that men and women and everybody else are just, I'd like chivalry to mean one politeness for all sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Not to have a sex attached to the word.
Like I don't care if someone holds the door for me, whoever they are, you know?
I got a door
Like-
held open today
Yeah, like
by
it's
a person from the opposite sex.
and
It was
for
like,
me
thank you.
that's polite, honest,
Yep.
and caring, right?
Yep.
And then those three words straight into the dictionary, it means chivalry. So I think that chivalry just means in 2025 for me, polite, honest, caring
Boom.
to everyone,
To everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
As
yeah.
in, like, you're not pinning, like, a sex on it or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
As I
I'll
particularly
hold
do
the
it
door for anyone. you know.
to the elderly. I'll always go out of my way to help.
Sure.
It's just
Yeah.
because I used to help my granddad and my nan and stuff, and that's just drilled into me, and I
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
I feel like I
feels-
want
feels
to help.
good.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does. The other thing as well, I was talking to Kat about it earlier, but obviously I've got a son and a daughter, and I'm certainly going to raise him with these chivalry values, without a doubt, because that's how I was taught. And I think if my daughter grows up and eventually settles down with someone, I want him to have those
Yeah.
values as well, to want to protect her, to want to care for her, be polite, be the gentleman, treat her, hopefully pay for her meals, all that sort of stuff, because it's just a nice thing to do.
So I got two things floating in my head at the moment.
Yeah.
One was a recent on the way back from Bristol on the Sunday, we got to Cheltenham Spa, and there was a train cancelled from Gloucester.
Uh-huh.
So the platform had way too many people on it, and they all got on the train. There was 9 carriages on this train, and the train driver said, before this train continues, 100 people need to get off.
No one listens in trains.
No one
all
moved.
No one got
run
off
on,
now.
don't they? And they don't allow the people who want to get off.
Yeah. Well, no, people had already got off.
Oh, sorry, people
Whoever
have
was
already got
going
off.
off, the platform had a cancelled train on it, basically.
Right.
Right, okay.
So they all got on. So there was, every seat was taken, every centre aisle was taken,
Yeah.
jam-packed, and every vestibule, the parts in between the carriages, was taken. So the train driver said, I need 100 people off this train.
What happened?
He turned the engine off.
He waited.
He waited and
That's
waited,
brave.
and everyone was just like getting into arguments, going, I deserve to be on this train. No. Chivalry was dead, mate.
Oh, I get that.
You see?
Yeah.
So when it like you had a bit of timing into it, or a stress or something like that, people forget to be nice, honest. I wanted to move, but I couldn't move. I was in against the window because I'd been on since Bristol, and I was like, there was 8 people between me and the door.
You could have moved.
I could have made a massive effort,
Yeah.
but I was like, I want to go home too. I'm dying.
You know what?
It's easy to
Everybody's-
sit there and go, do you know what? No, I'm not
Well,
moving.
Yeah.
For me,
And
in
plus
my
you were
head,
sitting
it
down.
made way more sense because the train driver said there'll be another train in 15 minutes. It made way more sense for the people who just got on to get back off.
So how did it end? How did everybody get off?
100 people got off.
Did they?
Yeah, but it took 45 minutes.
So
So I
they-
missed my connection in Shrewsbury, so I had to wait in Shrewsbury to get a train to Aberystwyth.
Can you, right, think about that.
Yes, it's like,
all that
wow.
is, right, is getting off a train, which, don't get me wrong, that is a huge inconvenience, right? But when we were having this deep chat when I was on holiday over WhatsApp, and we were talking about chivalry and talking about the past and things like that, I brought up the Titanic. And obviously,
Yeah.
there is much, much higher stakes for not
it's
having a
death.
boat. Exactly.
Certain
Pretty much certain death, right? Like as certain as you can get it. And instead of getting like pie charts out or my reason's better than your reason, it's just women and children. And then I guess that made it, I'm guessing, a lot easier than it would be in 2025. Because can you imagine, like, oh no, but I've got this and I've got that and I've got no idea how else you would do it. Unless another way to do it is maybe you'd say maybe some of the older people, maybe they were like 80, maybe they were 90. And they say like, well, I've lived most of my life, I'd like to give that to the younger people. But then you're kind of including that in the women and the children, aren't you? But I just found it like a fascinating subject because we were discussing.
It is fascinating.
We were discussing
Absolutely.
the past.
Yeah.
We were discussing something like. I mean, that is. I can't even imagine what it's like to make that decision. I'm not trying to like undersell it. It's awful. But I guess back then, that's just the way it was, and people probably swallowed it.
Oh, yeah, they had to.
Because that is just the way it is.
There wasn't enough lifeboats on there.
No.
And some of them were leaving half empty,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Was it,
That's crazy. Like,
yeah.
why that? I don't understand.
It was men who designed that boat, wasn't it?
Probably.
Goddamn idiots.
Just for the record, we're all men in here.
And who's that guy?
We're not all bad.
He plays such a good bad guy in it. And what's
Billy
what's
Zane.
that?
Billy Zane,
And then
mate.
Billy Zane, he wanted to get on a boat, didn't he? Didn't he like...
Yeah.
He really
He
wanted
got on
to
a
go.
boat.
Yeah, no,
He
he
survived-
did.
he
That's it.
survived.
Didn't he put on like a hood to like hide himself? Maybe he's trying to look like
No,
a woman. I can't remember.
he grabbed the kid and went, "This
Oh,
is my
he
child."
Got you. That's
Oh,
what he did.
yes.
I couldn't
Yeah.
remember what he did.
Yeah,
Yeah. Great
and
movie.
he'd already paid a guy because he tried to bribe one of the guys to get on the boat onto a lifeboat, and he came back.
Yeah.
Is our deal? And the guy just threw the money back in, and he went, "No, absolutely not."
We went
So,
onto
yeah.
a hell of a tangent on that, on those audio messages we were sending each other. We went from that to that, but I just thought it was half relatable because I don't know. Times
It's
are
very
times are
relatable
different, aren't we?
Because it's
At
the
Palmer.
past, and yeah, you hear things like in war, you hear like, "Oh my gosh, the tanks are coming, women and children first." You always
Yep.
hear that thing, you know.
Yeah.
But that's important, though, isn't it?
Well, women and children, if it's their children, obviously your children, they will survive your family. You know, they'll
course.
carry on, and
And it's your family. You want to protect them. Goes back to that
Exactly.
protection thing
Yeah.
again, doesn't
The
it?
mum will like raise them, and particularly in that time, that's just the way it was.
Mm.
Obviously, I'm talking about Titanic times now, isn't it?
1912.
And then obviously the kids had their whole lives ahead of them.
Of course they did.
So, but yeah, sorry to bring it down a somber tone there.
Not at all.
But
No.
it was important,
Not at
though,
all,
wasn't
no,
it? To our-
exactly.
To our
So,
conversation. you know?
God, I can't remember the second thing.
Sorry, Meds.
No, it's fine. It might come back to me later.
What,
But
on the list of stuff on your phone?
No. When I told the example about the train where chivalry didn't really happen.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
people didn't want to
100
get
people, right? Eventually they got
I
off.
had another thing that happened, but it was like a really positive thing, but I just cannot remember it right now. So anyway, yeah.
You know what? Sometimes
Hmm.
people can surprise you in like a positive light, though, or like I don't know. Sometimes they got really negative things, and I'm just going to pick two cities out there. I'll pick like New York, and then I'll pick London. And some people say they can be quite cold cities, isn't it? So, say something tragic is happening to someone on the street, and people just carry on walking with their headphones on.
Or they just film it.
Someone's getting yeah, exactly.
Film it.
Another good example. Film
Yeah.
it. But then other places, you like to think, there's like a little bit of community, or people standing up to someone who's being like horrible, or you do see some amazing ones on trains and buses, and there's obviously some horrible guy normally, and then people sort of gang together and try and like calm the situation or stop this horrible bloke doing whatever.
I think it's really easy to sort of either sit in here and watch something and go, "Oh, that's it. I do this or I do that," until you're in that situation. And the thing is, if you've got your family with you or whatever it is, it could be really intimidating. You don't know. You don't know. If some bloke's going absolutely mental on the subway or something, you think, "No, I'm staying
in
well away
Australia.
from that."
I didn't have my
He
family, but I
he
lived in Australia.
could be armed. He could have a knife on him.
Yeah.
And especially the UK, it just seems to be going crazy with like knives and all that sort of thing now. So you just don't know anymore. I stopped when we came back from holiday. Went to Manchester McDonald's, which is literally like 10 minutes away from the airport. Mm-hmm. We got there, and outside it was a bit of a rough area, I'll be honest. And there was like 4 or 5 teenagers, not quite balaclavas, but up over the mouths, hats on their like pedal bikes, which looked quite expensive. Pretty intimidating walking in there, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And I think we are really sheltered in Aberystwyth.
We are.
Really, really sheltered.
Yeah.
It's like the gangs of like I call them chavs, which is probably like an outdated term. I think they call them like roadmen now or something weird. But
I don't know what they are.
They got like a full tracksuit,
Yep.
normally black, and they have
Got
yeah
a little bum bag thing going over their
balaclava,
shoulder.
bum bag,
Little
yeah.
tiny bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a chav, but I think it
London-
means different things. Yeah.
London, that was every corner. Like you walk around down the street, they're everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
Roadmen
You're thinking-
everywhere.
You're thinking, why are you hiding your face?
Yeah.
That's what I think. Because they're not. I went to watch football. They weren't hooligans. They weren't like. It wasn't Burberry and all that. It was like Nike.
Yeah.
It was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what
Yeah.
are you doing? Why do you want to look intimidating?
You know, it's really popular
Why
in
do you wanna
Liverpool
look
as
like
well,
that?
because I flew from Liverpool, and they all dress like pretty similar. I get it. I understand that like cities have their own like almost like fashion, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they all wear like the same trainers, which weirdly is like a running brand of trainer. So if you've ever heard of On Cloud,
Yeah.
they're like
think I have,
Swiss or something, right?
Oh, right.
Anyway,
There's loads of Hoka.
they
as
either
well.
wear those or they wear Nike Air Max 110s, I think it is, and then they wear this brand of like a full tracksuit that I've never even heard
North
of.
Face or something.
Yeah, but it's like a hiking brand beginning with like M, and I don't know what it is, but it's like some expensive hiking luxury.
From
I
China.
don't know, not like a shell suit, but kind of like that.
I see
And
what
they,
you're
and
saying,
they
yeah,
all
like a
wear that.
tracksuit.
They all wear a full tracksuit and trainers, and that's just like the fashion there.
The thing is, they're probably looking at us thinking, what the hell are these guys wearing?
I'm pretty sure
Do you
they
know what I
were.
mean?
And they were looking at me
Surf
thinking,
bums.
he is not from Liverpool. Like,
Oh, no, definitely.
I definitely wasn't
Without
from
a doubt.
Liverpool. Like you
Smell
can
you a mile off.
You can just tell. And the
Yeah.
women
I
had a
really-
certain look as well. So.
I really relate to that. Like, they're teenagers, right? Like,
Yeah.
like they're
The kids.
they're kids, like
They are-
Penglice age, you know, and it's hellish intimidating.
It's really
Hellish
intimidating.
intimidating.
I was in Creamfields years ago. I'm going to guess 2003.
I remember this story.
I had a really nice pair of Von Zippers on, right? Sunglasses, really expensive. No, they weren't like really expensive. 80 quid. Expensive for me back then.
It's expensive now, I'd say.
And I was dancing in the middle of this big tent, pretty busy. Paul Oakenfold DJing, who was absolutely terrible at the time. And I was absolutely gutted. And these three lads just came around me, and I thought, this is a bit weird. One of them smacked me so hard in the face. I fell back, glasses fell off the top of my head. They took my glasses and ran off. Found out like later on, a couple of boys I was kind of with had the same thing happen to them. So the security were all in on it as well. Just going around robbing people.
What are you supposed to do?
Don't know. Yeah. Not saying that happens every Creamfields.
Yeah.
It just happened to
It
me and a
happened
couple
to
of
you.
people.
No, so
And they probably smelt me a mile off because they thought, he's not from here. Let's have him.
He looks like he's having a nice time, and he's not going to know.
No.
I don't know if the security were in on it. I highly doubt it. But I was at a concert once, and this guy was with Lou. He lost his phone, and he went to Lost Property after the thing, and there was like 200 people there. All lost their phones.
Ah, right, okay.
There's like pickpockets
Yeah.
going around in this concert and stuff. It's just like
Yeah.
Losing stuff is grim.
opportunists.
Oh, the opportunists. Good one. Good one.
Or they go there knowing full well, premeditated.
Yeah, of
Knowing
course.
There's that,
full on
of
that
course.
they're like, I'm going to
It's a big
steal
day out,
phones
isn't it?
today. I'm going to steal
Yeah.
whatever. Unfortunately, it happens, and people slash tents in festivals as well. Thankfully,
yeah.
I've never had a tent slash, but I've been to many a festival with Dave and Med, and I remember walking past tents thinking like, I feel so sorry for them. There's just like a Stanley blade slit all the way down the side, and they've just robbed everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's so sad, isn't it?
bad.
You know, you're meant to be there for like a nice reason, everybody trying to enjoy it together, and you're just like, that
The
sucks.
first time I ever come across, I guess, like crime when I was a kid was we left from here to go and watch Wales play football in Cardiff. So we left here. I was probably about, I was in primary school. It's maybe 10, 9. We got to Cardiff late, so we couldn't park anywhere where we normally parked. So we parked like across from the Principality Stadium as is now, because it was Cardiff Arms Park before then. Well, next door.
Yeah.
So Riverside is where we parked, and at the time we didn't know then it was quite a dodgy area. Went to watch the game, came out, and the car had been broken into. I couldn't understand it.
Can process that.
Couldn't process it. It was really strange. It's quite a weird feeling.
It's because you're from Aberystwyth.
This is what I'm saying. We're so sheltered. We're so lucky here.
You leave your door open to your car. You can leave the door open to your house.
Yeah.
You could probably leave the door open to your house for like 2 months straight.
We don't, everybody, by the way.
No, we don't. I actually do lock my doors every day.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's that mentality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of like, you could probably leave a car, like let's just say in town.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably leave it there for a long time and nothing would go missing. Even if there was something like quite tempting on the seat, and you think how long that would last in like Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester, London.
No.
Like, it wouldn't last any time at all.
No.
It's got to be bolted to the floor.
I heard a story. I don't know if it's like a myth or like or whatever. Monte Carlo, someone left as like a test, left a €50 note on the outside of their car and the windscreen wiper. Just everyone was just walking past it. Not interested.
Where was this now? Sorry.
Monte Carlo.
Right, Monte Carlo.
So-
but because of the wealth.
Because of the wealth.
Because of the wealth.
People, people who've been. I've never been. I'm not even gonna sneeze. Sorry.
Bless you.
Bless you, baby.
People I know have been to Dubai,
Yeah.
and they say that you can leave a Rolex watch on a bin, and people
No one
won't
will
even
touch
touch it.
Apparently,
But,
it's,
yeah,
I think it's the crime, like, punishment element of it. I think if you're caught,
I think no one needs a Rolex.
I think
out
it's
there.
also the
that
punishment
helps.
as well. I think the punishment is like severe as well, which I'm not actually like saying is a bad thing. I think out there, if you're out of line, something's going to happen to you.
You don't really need your hands, do you?
No.
But Monte Carlo is a really wealthy place, isn't it?
That is
You know,
more
Yeah,
so the
the
wealth.
kind of a bad
the
sort of
Formula
example.
One's there. And,
Yeah,
I know.
I think the
yachts
Dubai
and-
thing's more of a mixture of the heavy capital punishment and the wealth, whereas
Yeah.
the Monte Carlo is like more of the wealth.
Well, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. But in the UK, I don't want to go into too much of a tangent, but in the UK, it's like this crazy thing. Have you seen these videos or you've read the news where people just go into, I'll just use anywhere, Greg's, right? They go in and they just blatantly rob. They don't
Yeah.
hide it at all, right? They take food, they take drinks and stuff. And the staff have apparently been told, because I watched like a program on it, like a documentary, if the value is under £200, they just don't even bother, right? And I think this is sort of like the sad
They
state
shouldn't bother if it's over 200 quid.
of like the UK, that people, I think it's like it's borderline accepted that you can just go in and steal. And if that happened, like let's say 60 years ago, right, because of a number of different reasons, the person working there would probably tackle them out the shop.
Yeah.
And they would just be that, like, I don't want to go on to another tangent again. There was a famous video of a woman, right, in America, and because of no one cares if people shoplift anymore, but this one woman, she shoulder barged this guy stealing like a TV out of a big outlet store in America. And Dana White, who's the president for the UFC, he saw the video and he hired her. And he said, that attitude is amazing. No one's got that attitude anymore because they're thinking, well, I'm getting paid $15 an hour. Why should I stop that guy? But she was like, not on my watch. not today. And then she just like tackled him or whatever.
Quality, good on her.
Saved the store, you know, him robbing it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she got a job out of it. Like a really well-paid job.
But what if the
It's mad, right?
What if the woman tackled the guy and he shot her?
I guess that could have happened, but I guess he just liked the sort of, call it whatever you want, it's stupidity, bravery, whatever you want. He liked the fact
bit of
that
both, I think.
that
Yeah,
they didn't.
maybe.
But like, thing is though, I do think the pendulum swung too far though nowadays, where like nobody seems to care. I feel like the police don't really have maybe like as much kind of power anymore, because like I watch so much crime on TV. They've got no respect for police officers anymore.
I think they're
you know?
understaffed as well, though.
Like
There's not enough
yeah,
of
but
them.
they're like, I don't think you know, like people's attitude. You know, when you see them going into the police station after
Yeah.
they've blatantly done a crime and they're brought in, and they're literally just looking at them, trying to intimidate them, swearing to them, saying that they're going to find them after. There's no respect.
Oh, there's no respect.
No, there's like zero respect.
But I think that's across the board. If you think about
Zero.
teenage and stuff anyway, just generally, if you think about, say,
Teachers even
past,
we used
we're
to
going
be
back to
quite
the past.
scared of teachers, didn't we?
Like you go back to our dads in school, like the cane.
Yeah, they wouldn't have stepped out of line.
My dad
no.
got knocked out by a teacher just because he didn't like the look of my dad one morning. My dad was in assembly in the morning, just standing there. I think they were probably singing hymns or whatever it was. This particular teacher walked round the back, behind my dad, and I'm pretty sure he said it's a big Bible. And just whack the back of my dad's head and knocked him out.
That's crazy.
Just because he didn't like the look of my dad that morning.
Hang on.
That doesn't go on anymore.
Well, thank goodness that doesn't go on
Yeah, but
anymore.
what I'm saying is, like,
yeah,
I know it's assault,
assault on a
but if you
kid.
think about cane was, the
Yeah,
cane was
yeah.
definitely assault.
yeah.
But did it do them any
hang
harm?
on.
I'm not talking about the Bible at the back of it. That's pretty bad.
That's
But the
really
cane,
thank God that's not happening.
but the
anymore.
cane.
I'm trying to unravel this in my head. So
Go.
I'm a true believer in like consequence.
Yeah.
You do something negative, good, whatever. There's a consequence.
Do the crime, you go do the time.
Yeah.
Well, to an extent. I'm not saying we go around hanging people, killing people,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, in this country especially, I don't think that some of the sentences, some of the punishments for some of the crimes that I'm hearing about are long enough or
I agree.
severe enough.
I totally agree.
So what is the deterrent?
There isn't a deterrent. And also, when rape is at 1%, I believe. I think it's as low.
Might
as
even be
1%.
less than 1%.
I think it's
Conviction rate, you mean?
Yeah, conviction
Yeah.
rate is around 1% for a number of different reasons. Because a classic is it's a he said, she said.
Yeah,
so
just
she
can't prove
said
it, can
rape,
they?
and then he said, "Oh no, I did have sex with her, so that's why you'll find my DNA on this person."
Yeah.
However, it was consensual, and then it's that really awkward thing of like,
It's almost impossible. To
yeah,
prove
yeah,
that.
it's very. So I understand why it's low, but to be that low is like crazy.
But I'm even talking about, like, we watched 24 Hours in Police Custody.
Yeah.
We watched all these shows, and they always say this the sentence at the end, don't they?
Yep.
So I'm talking about clear cut evidence is there, boom,
Yeah,
CPS charge,
and you
all
need
that.
you need a ton of it
and
as
it's
well.
like 7.5 years.
Yeah.
What, for like murder or something? Or,
Yeah, or manslaughter.
Yeah.
But it's this isn't someone accidentally knocking someone over. This is like they were drinking, or they were they were on
Or they
drugs,
had a gun and they shot the wrong door.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not good enough.
It
It's
is,
not
and
good enough. There's
I agree.
there's something I've listened to recently. It's about these two South Walian guys who are metal detectors. And I'll cut a really long story short. Yeah, they found a load of Viking. It was a Viking horde, basically,
Whoa, cool.
in Herefordshire. They didn't report it, and they tried to sell it on the black market. They got caught. So basically 300 coins, a few other bits and pieces. The main guy, right, got arrested. A few of them got arrested. But how long do you think he went to prison for? So basically he didn't report it, which you're supposed to do. And he tried selling it
I didn't know that.
on the black market.
I didn't know how to report it.
You mainly go halves with the person
Well,
who owns the land, I think. Oh, normally.
Also, there's another thing as well, that he had permission to go on this particular farmer's land.
Right.
But he carried on and went to someone else's land, which was like a lord's land.
Ah.
He found the treasure on that land, but pretended he found it on the farmland. So he did a fake dig site on the farmer's land. Okay, so there's a couple of things going on there.
He's digging himself a hole here.
Yeah. So anyway, that's gonna be a tough one for you to answer. But what I'll say
Well,
is,
judging by the style of your question, I'm
Yeah.
going to imagine it's over the top.
yeah. So basically, they reckon this hoard, if it was down the correct route, it'd be worth about 12 mil. He did 10 years inside. So then you look at people who've done like manslaughter and rape and
they get a
murder,
lot less.
Get a lot less.
And they're just stop oil people.
And they're just up. Well, aren't they? Are they classed as terrorists?
Are they? Are they terrorists?
I don't know.
Do they? Hang on. You know what? I haven't
That
looked
might be
into-
completely out there. No, that might not be right.
I
but-
haven't looked into the sentences too much of what they are getting. I actually don't know. Are they getting
It's
sentences?
in years.
What? For doing the protests?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get caught protesting with the Just Stop Oil like slogan, or in orange, or
You know what? I
It
did
depends
not
what they're
know that.
now classed as.
I
did not know that.
think
because they might be classed as something which I'm not going to say terrorism again because it might not be terrorism.
Sure.
You know, but what I'm saying is it might be
it just doesn't
a league below.
It just doesn't make sense to me. That's a huge deterrent.
I can't stand them.
To try and advocate for something which is harming the planet.
What do you think about the people who write a tweet, right? And it could be a harmful tweet and it could potentially ensue violence, I suppose, because I think that's the area they're going on. So someone at home has written something on a keyboard and they've got 2 or 3 years for it. What do you think about that? And what do you think about that?
Hang on.
Is
They
it
remind
racist?
me, there was cases
Because
recently,
there are
wasn't there?
cases recently about it. I think it was particularly to do with some illegal immigrants in hotels, and some people were like inciting violence about like rioting outside, etc. So they were writing things on Twitter or X, and then some people were doing a couple of years in prison for writing a tweet.
It was the repercussions of that Southport thing, wasn't it?
It was,
Yeah.
it was to do with that.
Do you remember
it
that,
was.
Ned?
Yeah,
No. what's that?
3
guy
or
went
4
in-
girls.
3 or 4 girls went in a guy went
A
in
dance class.
and stabbed to death 3 young girls basically. And it was the repercussions of that. People just went mental.
But yeah,
Well, they were angry that happened.
They were angry
Of
at
course.
who did it,
Right.
and his religion. So it went down that road, and then
Okay.
mosques were getting smashed and all that sort of thing.
Right.
But as Dukes was saying, people were writing stuff on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and things, and they were getting caught out for hate crimes.
Yeah, I can't
Hate
remember
crimes.
what they call it, but they actually went to, I guess, in front of a judge
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm confident, I don't think I'm incorrect saying this, that they were doing time for
Yeah.
writing a tweet.
Yeah, but the tweet is hate speech. Yeah.
You know, I can't remember.
That's a hate crime, isn't
I
it?
can't remember the specifics of what was written. I don't know. I'm not.
Sure.
But what I'm trying to say is
Whatever was written, it comes under the term hate crime, right?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
I guess that's what they were prosecuting them under.
You can't do that. I think the world needs to be way more moral and way nicer.
Yeah.
Like you can't, a perfect world. No one's writing hate speech anytime at all. But
No.
I know it's not a perfect world.
No.
If they, you get things at football games, not rugby games. That's absolutely
Football games.
There's been a death of a player from the opposite team. Yeah. And then you get people doing like airplane wings and stuff like that, or
talking about
putting their
Salah.
number up and stuff like that.
Happens all the time.
Just talking in general, it happens all the time. Like,
Yeah, it's just awful behaviour.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
So how do you feel then with your morals? Because I mean, you're
What about
quite
the hate
impartial.
speech?
No, but like you're mingling with football lads, and they must say some things. Do you ever call them out?
I don't hang around with those kind of people.
Okay.
I hear it,
Yeah.
but say if I'm the Millwall game, that's the most recent.
Yeah.
So I was with 6 guys, and none of them were saying, racist, sexist, none of that stuff.
None of it.
Yeah.
And like, if we saw that day, I wasn't aware of it, but if we saw that day, I imagine one of us would either mutter it to us, make us all aware of it, and we'd avoid those people for the rest of the day.
Right.
I don't think we'd go over and cause what would probably end up in a big drunken brawl.
And,
no,
and
I know.
I understand why you wouldn't do that, particularly
But-
on a day like that with people.
But there's a line, right?
Like
so
that.
if those people then started like making that physical towards people, that's when the step in becomes really close, isn't it?
Well, this kind of plays into what I'm on about. You've got words that are either like verbalized or typed or written down, and then you've got like actions. I think they're two different things. I think to go over to someone and assault somebody is different to verbally abuse them or to write something online and get years for it, because
You are right, but
you're
think about-
dancing into like the free speech territory of like it's big. It's like a Big Brother thing. Like one of my favorite books, Big Brother. Actually, if you haven't read it, read it.
1984.
And it's 1984. And it's about everybody policing you, including your neighbours. So if you're caught not watching the propaganda, speaking out of turn with anything different, writing things down, burning books, it's that sort of things, like attacking on your freedom of speech, even if it might be not nice to some people. It's like I find it always like an awkward thing on freedom of speech, because I think it's dangerous to suffocate people to say what they want to. It's awkward, but I also don't want people to be going around spurting out like hatred or racism either.
No.
But I always think of it as like it's not always black and white sometimes to stop people from saying something. Like you cannot do that. Or
I think
say
we're
that.
always going to offend
You know?
somebody. You
So-
can't please everybody. That's the case
And also,
for me.
if you think along the same lines as everybody as well, right?
That's pretty boring.
I think it's impossible as well.
Yeah.
I think everyone has slightly different views on everything.
Well, the three of us in this room have got
Yeah,
different views on
very
stuff.
different views.
We're having
Yeah.
a different viewed discussion right now.
I guess my main point was, though, do you think people should be doing for years in prison for writing a tweet? I think a lot of people think maybe they should.
a
And
racist,
and a lot of
hate
people
speech
thinking
tweet.
no,
Yeah.
you know?
I think they should be arrested. I have no idea what a sentence should be.
Yeah, I'm not
I have
pretending
no
to-
idea.
And also, to be fair, I will say this. I didn't look into those tweets deeply and say,
I don't know what they said, no.
this is what he said. I must admit, I put my hand up, I don't know. I just read like the article, and it was, this person has written something on Twitter and they've been like prosecuted and they're in prison. And I was thinking like, wow, that's quite crazy, no?
The other side of it as well.
My initial reaction
Yeah.
was to think about like 1984.
Well,
I was thinking
and
like,
that.
holy moly, the government can like say, I don't like that. Get in.
So,
I know.
go back to the McDonald's that you walked into.
Yeah.
You felt like intimidated.
I certainly wasn't scared, but I was like, Put my
You
back
were
was
aware
up
of
a little.
it.
I was
Yeah.
totally
You had a
aware of it.
tingle.
Oh yeah, I was like, okay.
You know, is that okay?
What? In what sense? What do you mean?
That those youths can dress like that and stand outside McDonald's in that kind of manner.
What do you mean? Is that okay? As in what?
Well,
As in to be
imagine
intimidating?
if that was my mum, she wouldn't go in.
No, I don't think it's okay.
No.
And I could see the manager of McDonald's was just like
On edge, right?
He was at his wit's end with it because he was trying to kind of shoo them away.
But you can't really
What
do
can he do?
anything.
Because he knows that if he shoos them off or annoys them, those windows are going to be smashed in that night.
Yeah.
So what can he do?
What can you do?
You know what? So I'm pretty sure there might be some kind of law. I've heard of it anyway. Like loitering. Didn't that used to be a thing where you weren't meant to loiter?
Loitering with intent.
I love that
Yeah.
phrase. That was
Yeah.
in Batman.
It is a great.
I love that
Loitering.
phrase. Who's on the Batmobile?
But I mean, to take jokes out of it, yeah, because he puts the Batmobile to intimidate, didn't he? Then,
Yeah.
like it is intimidating, and they're loitering. They may just be loitering because they're loitering, but
What
if you're loitering
What were
with
they doing though?
intent-
Because I didn't. I like were they blocking the door?
Oh no. They were so like let's say you got the sliding doors going into McDonald's and there's I don't know 2 meters of pavement and then you got a railing. They were kind of like hanging on the railings, bikes there. So you had to kind of go
So
past
just
them.
outside
It was tight.
of where
It wasn't
to go
tight,
in.
but it was like a meter, which is enough room.
Yeah.
You kind of close
so
enough
Yeah.
to get the eye contact. And do I keep my head down?
I
Do I,
always
make
get
eye?
hauntings of D Block corridor when it's break time and I see all of the year above,
Oh.
and you're like, I've got to walk past them.
Just
I am
walk
gonna
away.
Get bounced.
Walk
Bang,
away.
bang, 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 bang.
Pinball machine.
It's awkward though, isn't
Yeah.
it, with the law though, because you can't just. Is in. What are you going to charge them with?
What the loitering?
Yes.
kids?
Yeah. Because if it isn't loitering, you probably can't charge them with too much.
Yeah,
can
how do you
Probably
prove
not.
intimidation?
Yeah,
It's down-
exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
They're
you-
probably just hanging around. They're probably
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
If
yeah.
they were wearing something different and they weren't on their bikes
Yeah.
with their little bum
Yeah.
bags, I'd probably go, "Right, guys."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah.
It's just because of the
So-
way they
Yeah.
looked and the way they dressed.
Yeah.
We don't see it that
It's
often in
purposeful
ABBA.
though, isn't it?
Well,
They
it-
didn't wake up in the morning and think,
It
I'm
works.
going to chuck on this.
It
Oh no,
works.
yeah, I
planned,
understand.
like-
Yeah, of course it is.
But I don't think they should be arrested for standing out.
Oh, no.
personally,
I wasn't.
yeah.
I certainly wasn't insinuating that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, it's just.
No, I never-
it's
I never-
quite
No, I
intimidating.
understand that it could be that, but like,
But
if
then
you
to-
boil it down, I don't think there's much you can do
My
about
point
it.
was that they weren't actually doing anything.
No.
Nothing
right?
at all.
Right.
No.
But then a written word, like a tweet, it's not actually doing anything, is it? Like physically.
No, and that's my
It's-
point. It
and it's
seems
only
extreme.
if you read it. Like I didn't know this existed until just now.
Yeah.
This tweet. I'm definitely going to try and find it later.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I want to know the full
I
gravity.
imagine
like, but
it was disgusting because I can't imagine.
I've seen horrific things written down.
Yeah, but I guess I'm thinking. Can you imagine like a graffiti artist, right? It could be anything, right? I'm going to use it as an example. A lot of people are protesting at the moment, so I'll use Palestine as an example, right? Can you imagine like some guy ran up to like a wall in London, and he did like a Palestinian flag, right? And he got 3 years for that. Can you imagine like because he had a viewpoint? Like, is that correct? Because some people wouldn't agree with him at all. So is that correct to bang him up for 3 years? For doing
I
that?
have no
I don't
idea.
think.
I have
I don't think
no
it is.
idea.
I don't think it is. Like you could say right, you've graffitied and you've I don't know, done criminal damage on a wall or something. But I think it'd be very difficult to say throw him in jail for like 2-3 years. I don't know. I just think
Unless
it's-
that graffiti was on the Israeli embassy.
Yeah, but I'm sure it happens though.
Probably
I'm
does.
sure it
rebellious
happens.
act.
Well, exactly.
You know?
And that's
But-
definitely a crime, wouldn't it be?
But
Yeah.
this is where we're like, it's complicated. It's a complicated world, isn't it? It's a complicated world for what your actions and the
It's really,
repercussions
really
are
complicated.
on it. I just felt
I
it was
thought
extreme to write a tweet and get in jail.
I'm
I
very
thought
glad
that
we didn't have
Twitter-
this.
Oh, sorry.
Go on. Yeah, and I'm just really glad that we didn't have social media and this power when we were in school.
Well, when all these things started coming
We'd
out,
probably
like,
be in jail.
when Twitter, when
We would.
Bieber, when all that sort of stuff started coming out, like I'm sure that Twitter was really famous for having it is free, like you could say whatever
Carte blanche.
you want.
Well, it
yeah,
kind of is
absolute- that's
now.
the word. Absolute carte blanche.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
this
it's
was the
governed now, isn't it?
This is the UK government. So let's pick a different country. Let's pick America, right? I'm not so sure if you would get 2 to 3 years, say in like the state of Texas for writing something on Twitter or X. But I read the story in the UK, and apparently
Yeah.
it's different. It's not just what the platform deems okay. It was the government, what the government in the UK deemed okay for this person to write as a tweet. Nothing to do with X.
Oh, right.
But they
I thought X, because they're the platform.
No, I understand that.
They're
but
not the governing body. They're just basically.
But I
like
guess
a
the
platform, aren't they?
UK were like, you've put this out. We believe it was insinuating hate or whatever. I can't remember the terminology. And
So X didn't really flag it.
oh, I don't know. I don't know because I think they want freedom of speech.
No, and actually, to bring old Elon into it,
The
I
old
think
Muskie.
he was calling out Kia.
He was.
Kia saying, I can't believe you're putting these
He
guys
was.
inside when you're letting murderers and rapists go free.
That
It
was-
went down that road.
That was
Whoa.
a big story because
Yeah.
they were saying that, well, people were getting less for rape than writing a tweet. So obviously things like that make a headline, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably why it caught my attention.
Yeah.
It,
It
like,
reads,
a,
it
real,
reads.
a real catchy headline of man writes tweet gets 2.5 years, man rapes woman gets 1 year. That's going to catch your interest. You're going to think, what?
Yeah,
and
that's
then you'll
not
read,
balanced,
and
is
then
it?
you'll read
No.
the article and you think, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
You know?
Jiminy Christmas, boys.
I know, it was a bit of a tangent, but...
On that light now.
That's a really good tangent. That's opened my eyes. I don't fucking read the news. I haven't done for years.
I stopped watching the news through COVID. I talked about it loads. I gave up on them because I was fed up of doom and gloom.
Repetition.
I didn't believe them.
I don't trust
Towards
them
the end.
either. No.
Did not
I'm
believe
not
it.
saying it's all lies. I think that's probably crazy as well. But I think back in the day when I used to watch the news, like with my dad, and I was like, oh, the 6 o'clock news. I used to hate it, like Trevor McDonald something. When my dad loved it and he'd watch it. Back then, though, I probably wouldn't even question if it was all true. It'd be like, of course it's true.
Oh, yeah, of course it is.
It's the news. Of course it's true.
me too,
It's
100%.
1988
Michael Burke.
or 1992. You're like, oh, it's on the news. It's on BBC News. That is legit. Whereas now, people are like, well, some of it's been proven that it's not legit.
I know.
Not all of it.
And it's
to be
also
fair,
been
not all
proven
of
that
it.
they've been hiding predators in their midst as well.
Oh, the
you see that
BBC
meme?
are bad, yeah.
Like it's
Awful.
like how can their reputation hold that much sway anymore?
Did
I
you
don't
see
know.
that picture?
And
Or
fuck
that
TV
AI,
licenses as well.
the AI picture of Jimmy Savile welcoming the Pope to heaven?
I did.
Ouch.
I did.
Ouch.
I've seen a lot.
This can be a tangent. The old Catholic church. And like
I watched Conclave. I watched Conclave 2 nights ago.
What is conclave?
Have you not heard of Conclave?
No.
It's a Ralph
Is it-
Fiennes film about the death of a pope and what the conclave is.
Okay. The
So
smoke
the
out the
conclave
chimney.
is the election of the new pope.
Yeah.
Has it got...
And do you know there's been a pope recently died, yeah?
Yes?
Yeah.
So conclave starts tomorrow
So the new one.
for the new pope. There's 138 eligible cardinals.
How do you know
the
how they
longest
choose
conclave-
them?
Yeah.
How do they choose them?
It's a vote, isn't it?
All the guys in the conclave vote.
What? And that's it?
They write a name.
It
What,
took ages.
out
one
of
year,
how many
didn't it?
people? Like a few hundred?
138.
138.
Sorry, 138 people. What, and they vote.
Yeah.
And then whoever gets the highest votes.
No. Whoever you have to win by 2/3.
Okay.
So
And
it's
then-
138 people, whatever the percentage of 2/3 of that is.
It's pretty old school, isn't it? And you know when they decide, don't they set the smoke out the chimney?
Yeah,
or something,
so
isn't it?
they hold a conclave every day
Yeah.
until there's a winner.
How long does it? It could take forever then.
So the longest conclave that's ever been was almost 3 years.
They couldn't decide on a 2/3 majority.
No.
They should have a fight.
Well,
Just fight it out.
Arm wrestle.
the film Conclave with Ralph Fiennes it's a real eye opener in terms of like what actually happens behind the scenes because they get completely shut off from the world. They get moved from the conclave room, which I think is in the Sistine Chapel, to their accommodations. That's it.
Wow.
And they just incestuously create and form rivalries and talk and
Wow.
yeah.
Imagine-
It's hellish interesting.
I bet it is
Hell of a
interesting.
film.
Imagine-
And there's
It's
pretty
such a
weird.
twist.
It's pretty weird though, isn't it? Like, what is the job? I should probably know this, obviously, but I'm not religious at all. But when they are like, right, you're the new pope. What does that mean? And what do you do?
They are the head. Like I can't play this up enough. Right, they are the head of Catholicism on planet Earth.
Vatican City centered.
Yeah, they're in Vatican. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is its own country, by the way.
It is smallest in the world.
How many Catholics are there in the world?
Millions.
Yeah, I'd say loads because of like, say,
And they're
like
the head of them all.
Ireland. A lot of people in like America, because obviously a lot of Irish went over, like Boston.
What's the
for
salary?
instance.
Oh,
What, do they? What is it? How does it
say a
work?
figure. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
What's their job? What do they do?
Well, this is what I asked.
Yeah.
What are they when they get, and they're like, right, you're the new pope.
Just bless people and stuff.
You're
don't
in that weird chariot thing.
Just doing that.
Getting
The
carried around.
bulletproof one.
they?
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's like a little dome, isn't it?
It's very interesting this film, boys. Honestly, because you got cardinals, and I don't know. It's not a documentary; it's a film. But you got cardinals like smoking outside and having like drinking wine. One of them gets quite pissed. It's like,
All right.
and a couple of them swear, and that blew me away. I was like, what?
It's like some mad boys club.
It is, isn't it?
What would the good Lord think about your actions, kind sir? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Is the Catholic Church the one when you can, like, I don't know, is it like repent your sins or like,
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
you
it's-
get
it's-
confession?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
I know someone who
confession.
does that.
It's
That's
confession.
confession, isn't
I know
it?
someone who does it.
So that one,
I did 8 murders last week.
yeah, that one's
Yeah,
crazy.
you're fine.
Imagine
You can just go to
being
confession.
a priest. The priests
They would hear
Their fathers,
the
brothers.
Yeah, but if they're in-
craziest gossip.
they're sitting there in their little
Booth.
booth. Yeah, booth's the word. And you hear something and you go, "Ooh, I've got to take that to the police. I need to take that to the police." But they can't, can they?
Do
Because
they,
they
though?
know it's going to come. Let's say it's like a mafia gangster has gone, "Oh, repent. I did some terrible things last week. Shot a couple of guys. Feel really bad." You can't. That priest can't go and tell anybody because you know it's going to come from him.
Which
He'll probably
film is
shot
it?
dead
Is
that
it-
next
I think
day.
it's in Godfather. I think there's
Probably.
confessions, or is it Goodfellas? I think there's.
Great film.
I think a few mafia type deals. I think it's the typical thing, isn't it, when they go inside?
But what's
and they-
older?
and
Like-
they confess.
Like police kind of law or Catholicism. I'm really proud I can say that word. It's really hard to say.
Catholicism.
Catholicism.
It's the first time I've ever said it. I think.
Yeah. Like, what's older? Like, because say if murder was legal in Catholicism, I know it's not. I know it's not. But say if it was a legal thing and you did it in the Vatican, it's like, yeah, but hang on, police here, get them out. Hang on, what?
Don't know.
I think this is where religion, and I'm not just talking about Christianity. There's obviously many different religions, and some religions come with their own laws, and a lot of them don't marry up to, say, like, let's say, a Western policing method, and that goes for everything.
The 10 Commandments.
Ages of people, consensual ages
yeah,
of people,
yeah, yeah.
mutilation of genital. It goes quite grim, actually. And
Yeah.
because I'm not religious, I just cannot fathom it or understand it. And
No.
you think, like,
No.
in my head, I'm thinking, well, I think, like, the law should supersede that because it's crazy, right? But then these people who were within these religious groups, they obviously probably think, no way.
Yeah.
This is
Because
my
this is our
religion,
religion.
and,
Yeah.
and this is what it is.
This
I'd
is
like
it.
to think that the law of this country, the United Kingdom, is made by its residents, ultimately. Its government. It's made by the society
what
that
is
we're
it?
living
What
in.
are its residents, though? It's pretty multicultural. So what are
Yeah, but
UK
it
residents?
wasn't, was it?
No, but now it is.
Now it is,
So,
yeah.
so it's more complicated. So
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of pockets of people who are
Different
saying,
votes.
I don't think this is correct because my faith is X, Y, and Z, whatever your faith may be. So it makes it complicated, doesn't it?
It does.
Complicated world we live in 2025.
It is. My head's blown.
On that note,
On that note.
thanks very much, everybody.